Hello, we are live with the seventh Airbyte community call. This week, uh, we have, and over the last month or so, we've been in the middle of our Hacktober contest, which has been really exciting. It's been really awesome to see everyone from the community come out and build connectors. I recently published the numbers, and we're up to pretty much 50 connectors that are either being worked on or are submitted. We have a lot of people kind of competing for that most connectors spot, and throughout all of this, we really wanted to try and create content that was kind of around connector building. So uh, today and a week from now, we're going to have these two presentations around connector building. Today, we're going to have Luis Gomez from Calixa. Luis has been working on basically building a connector. I believe it's the Sales Loft connector, and he's going to walk through some of the things that he learned while building the connector, and kind of a overview about how to build a connector. So if you're kind of interested in this process, if you're interested in kind of like learning some cool tricks about building, this will definitely be helpful for you. Just as a quick update, Hacktober will be ending on November 19th, so that's 10 days from now. Just make sure to get your PRs in before that day, and we'll make sure that they are reviewed in time. Overall, the community has been growing a lot. We've been really appreciating everyone's support, and it's been, I think, a really exciting time at Airbyte for us. So I want to give Luis as much time as possible to speak today. So for today, I'm going to hand it over to him. So, I think let's just go ahead and get started. So, Luis, if you want to start presenting.
Thanks, Abby. Hello, everybody. I'm Luis. So we're going to talk about, my experience when building the self-loved source connector for Airbyte. So yeah, let's start. I'm gonna share my screen. All right. So yeah, this is the presentation of my experience and basically the work I did to build the self-loved connector. Again, I'm Luis Gomez. I'm a backend engineer at Calixa. Calixa is a startup company that gives GTM teams the insights, the product-led insights they need to find, close, and grow customers from their self-serve signups. So basically, we allow our customers to import their data from different third-party applications they may have into our platform, and with that data, we give them those insights, and we process like data from different sources. So we already have integrations with Intercom, HubSpot, and some other sources that already have a connector for Airbyte. But in the case of SalesLoft, we found ourselves without a connector. So we come from a point where we were like implementing these integrations from scratch. We were working on building these integrations by our own. And at some point, we found that we were dealing with different issues that didn't have to actually getting the data, like rate limiting or dealing with refreshing tokens, authentication tokens, things like this that kind of derail us from the main objective, which is actually focusing on what to do with the data for our customers. So we identify Airbyte as a tool to just get the data and forget about all these issues and concentrate on actually what we want to do with the data from the customer. So given that and that we were already building some, we were already migrating some of our integrations, we found ourselves without this self-love connector. So we decided to implement it by our own. So the self-love connector, this is a basic connector to get self-love data from these resources. These resources are cadences, cadence memberships, people and users. They of course have a lot more endpoints and resources, but we just needed data from these particular resources. So that's what we implemented. However, it is very easy, and you're going to find out when I share part of the code later, that it's actually very easy to add more resources to these connectors, and basically the connectors that you build from the by using the Python templates. So we already had built some integrations with the existing connectors, so we had some experience, and we kind of knew what to expect from the building perspective, like how to, I mean, with data, what data to request from the user and things like that. And also we had experience with creating connections through the UI and the Airbyte API, and running those connections. So we were kind of ready to face the process of building a connector. So for implementing, basically, we went to these two links. There's good documentation on the Airbyte land on how to build a connector, either a source connector or a destination connector. So we basically follow the steps on these uh, uh, guides to be able to create a connector. So the first step for us, and we're going to see, is to use this generate script, which basically creates different template files with several to-dos that you should go ahead and implement to get your connector ready. So let's see the process that we followed. So implementing the connector, we started like with a basic stream. So these resources we wanted to bring from Salesloft, some of them uh, provided a way of getting incremental updates, and one of them didn't. So we started with that one, which is users. So this basically gives the list of Salesloft users under an account, and they don't give like a way for the client to get incremental updates. So we started from that. So the first step was running the generator. So that generator gives you the different options to create a connector, like an HTTP, Python HTTP connector. I have a title here. Should be connector or better source, I think. And other types of connector, like I think Java is also a supported language, and different other options. So we went the Python way. Then we so that first step gives you a new directory in the Airbyte integrations directory, which is located here, basically. So it will give you one new source folder here in connectors. And it should be called, in this case, source Salesloft, which should be already here. So that directory contains already the files that you will need to build your connector. You just have to go ahead and complete the to-dos that are there in the different files it generates for you. Um, so next step was to start building the methods that source connector provides a user, which are basically the spec method, the check method, and also discover and read. So for spec, we basically update the spec JSON file, which is already created for you with some template data about customers and employees, I think. So you just go ahead and remove those blocks and update them with your specification. So this spec JSON basically asks the user for the data that the connector needs to actually to connect to the third party system. So for the case of Salesloft, it is a client ID, client secret, and a refresh token. So that it can like refresh and get a new access token and create a successfully connect to Salesloft. So we basically did that here in this file. Let's see if we have here the spec file. So it contains the data we need to authenticate to connect to Salesforce. It can vary depending on the connector that you're building. So there are cases where you could you should like specify or ask a user rather for a host name or a port or different kind of credentials other than these ones like a username or password, things like that. So this is basically the first step. And then when you do this, you're ready to test the spec method, which you can accomplish by writing a basic Python command like this, and it should like basically output the spec file that you have just put here in this that you have already completed. So next step was uh, so yeah so the generator also creates a source file for you, and it's basically the file that you're going to fill to complete your connector. All the connector logic is included in this source that py file. So that's the next step in order to implement the check method, which is the next one. We already implemented spec. So in order to implement check connection method, you just have to go and update that method there, which basically should take uh, a configuration the user provides, which you expect to have at least the required values from this schema, and you use those values to try to create a connection to the third-party system. So in the case of Salesloft, it's just writing this short method, which creates an authenticator given the configuration we provided, I mean the user provides, and try to make a request to this Salesloft endpoint. And in case of a successful response, we just return that the connection was established. But otherwise, in case of an exception, we return that it couldn't connect. That's it. And after this, you save and you're ready to test the the the, the check method. In order to do that, you should uh, for, for, for for those of you that have already tested this method like this way or by the Docker command, you should provide a parameter called config, which is a file. In this case, it's located here in secrets. This is not committed to the repository, so it contains valid credentials for you to connect to the in this case to Salesloft. So we can run this command and see that the connection was successful. So that's great. We already have implemented two methods, so we're ready to go and actually try to get some data. So next step was to complete the Salesloft stream class to dos, which is the basic like the base class for the streams that we're going to build. So this class basically specifies how we are going to, I mean, the request parameters that we're going to provide for each request we make to Salesloft, how to parse the response, so how to get data from HTTP responses from them and convert that data into the Airbyte stream and the Airbyte messages that we will provide to the data flow for Airbyte. And this next page token method, which basically tells Airbyte how to handle pagination if there's any, right? So this basically, the implementation of these methods depends on how the third-party system provides the responses for you. So in the case of Salesloft, we have to, for example, go to metadata, paging, and next page in order to get this value. It changes from implementation to implementation. But that's basically it. Uh, Things to note here: this parse response method should return a Python generator. So you, for each element, you yield yeah uh, that particular element. Other than that, it just depends on how you handle pagination and other required parameters to the third party system. And that's it. Also, I'm sorry, didn't tell you before, but feel free to interrupt at any time and raise any questions you may have. So after we implement this base class, we're ready to get to build like an actual stream and start testing and getting some data from Salesloft. So so next we implemented the users stream, which is a basic stream that doesn't support incremental updates. So we just extend the Salesloft stream class, which is this class we just and define the primary key. This is for Airbyte handling, and also the path.
Luis,
Yeah, yeah.
just really quickly, can you full screen the your
Yeah.
Visual Studio just
Okay,
so we can
sure.
maybe see it a little clearer?
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Is this font size all right, or
Yeah, maybe if you could zoom in a little, that'd be
let's see
cool.
if I can. I'm
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
don't worry
Okay,
about it. We can
right,
just
right. Yeah, I'm
all
sorry.
right. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, so you just like tell this is the path you should append to the base URL, which is here, and you're ready to get users from Salesloft as Airbyte messages. So again, the command the commands we're going to test now are discover and read. So let's give them a try. So I was I almost forget. In order to invoke discover, you should. I mean, we already implemented this stream here, but we also should create the schema for in this case the users stream. That's done by creating a file here with the same name. So you create users.json here, and this is basically an Airbyte catalog object containing the JSON schema of the of the of the object that it's representing. In this case, a Salesloft user, and yeah, that's this is pretty much it. It's like creating a JSON schema file in which we will put like every property that you're going to provide through your through your stream. So with this schema and the stream class, you're ready to get the data and invoke the discover method. So in this case, discover is going to give me not just the user the user specification, but also specifications about the other streams that I have created. And we're also ready to invoke the users. Yeah, the users stream, which will give me a couple of users because we already so that this particular endpoint doesn't have like much data. It's just about the users and their an account, which usually are not that uh, high in number. So after this, we already implemented our first stream, and we are able to get data. So that's awesome. We can now build a Docker image and use it in our local Airbyte server. But we also needed a couple more streams. So let's go to the next slide, which is implementing the incremental streams. So for these streams, we basically implemented this class. Again, these classes are already provided by the generator for you. So you just have to update the to-dos, which every method contains one. So it's like a pretty straightforward process for you, and you just have to adjust here to the system you're dealing with, and that's it. So for incremental streams, we basically have to implement this get updated state, which will given the current stream state, which is the stream that Airbyte has collected so far, and the latest record, you have to compute the the updated state. So in for this case, it is just like verifying the maxed the max date between the latest record date, which is this updated add field, and the current stream date, which comes again from what Airbyte has collected so far, and that's it. That will give you like the updated state for Airbyte to perform the incremental requests on the stream it's getting data from. Um, and we should also connect this updated state with the request param. So in this case, I added this method here to convert this state into actually a parameter for sales locked endpoints. So in this case, I am overriding these request params here. So we are also performing pagination this way with these parameters, but we are also providing this query param here, updated at with this GTE, with GTE, which will give you records that were updated on a timestamp that's greater than or equal to the value you provide here, and that's it. That's with this, and obviously by appending like a small class like users, which we already did, we will be ready to get incremental changes for a resource that actually supports it, like people or cadences or cadence memberships. So basically, we just basically provide the path it should get data from, and that's it. You save, you don't forget about adding the schemas here, and you will be ready to get data for these streams. So that's the next step. Basically, you get you can get also in this case, for example, people, and you can provide a state parameter, which is a file where you can specify like a custom state. So you can try the incremental updates, and this file just looks like this. I have it here, and it's basically a state object, Airbyte state object that contains the stream name and the value it will use to get data from. So we'll be getting data that's after the 21st of September, in this case for the people stream, and we can try that, and it will give us several data actually for the account I have in the config file. So in this case, it gave us 693 records. But if I remove that state file and just basically tell it to get data from the start, it will give me a lot more records than 693. Let's see, just to see it works without the state. Yeah, in this case, it gave me 1,500. So that's it. So far we already implemented our streams. We're ready to to publish our local Docker image and start testing. But if you want to actually go ahead and create a pull request and contribute to the community, there are a few more steps you should follow. So you should basically provide some tests. But what's great about the generator is that it also creates some test files for you. So these are also templates they create. You don't have to create these files. They're already there for you with to dos or methods that you can like change accordingly to make your tests pass. So basically, you provide. There are basic tests. You can add more if you want, but with just doing this and also adding some integration tests, you will be ready to get to submit a pull request for the Airbyte team. Um, I think you should also provide like screenshots of test passing, but that's basically it. So yeah, so basically address the to-dos in the unit test files, and for integration and acceptance tests, the strategy is a little bit different. So basically, you get this acceptance test config file, which already like specifies how acceptance tests are going to run. And basically you what you do here is complete these files here. These files, that's maybe something they can add to the generator, is that these files are not created for you. And it was kind of hard for me to find out that I had to actually complete these files here in order to run the acceptance tests. So you basically for example, for this case, you provide an invalid config to test that connection, in this case, fails. So for the connection succeeded test case, it uses the valid configuration you already have. But for this one, you should provide an invalid configuration. So in this case, I'm using obviously a fake client ID, client secret, and refresh token, and it should fail. We can test our acceptance tests, also and our unit tests actually with the commands given to us by this by this README file. So it will run our tests basically. Basically, in order to for you to submit a pull request, you take a screenshot of this and post in your pull request description, and that's it. So for acceptance tests, my strategy was basically running this file. I mean, this command here, and obviously the first time you run, tests are gonna fail. Um, I haven't uh, I haven't updated the Docker image here. So yeah, this is also another step. You should build a Docker image.
Luis, we have a question about basically test accounts. So
Yeah,
so can you go over how you added a test account for the new source?
a test account.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, in this config file.
No, so like the the for basically for the integration tests.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
these integration tests.
Hmm.
So there's a particular section that tests that connection is is successful, and it also fails. So for the successful connection test, it uses the value you provide here in secrets config.json. So this file won't. I mean, you don't commit this file to the repository or your branch. So you in this file have basically data that yeah, an account you may have to for Salesloft with a valid client ID, client
Hmm.
secret, and a refresh token, and you already know that this work. So the acceptance test should I mean, it basically under the covers invokes the check connection method from the source file, and it should pass. And if you provide this invalid config file, invalid config.json file here, with obviously data that you know that should make the connection fail, it should fail, and test should pass.
Awesome. Okay. It- I believe that we don't have any other questions. But okay. So Seth asks, if the secret config file isn't checked into source control, how does the integration test run on CI?
Mm. I don't know. I've seen. I'm not a Airbyte expert, but I've seen in other cases that basically when people create GitHub issues for asking for a new connector, before they implement a connector, there are people from Airbyte that go and talk to sales on the third party system in order to get an account. But I don't honestly, I don't know how they incorporate
Mhm.
these credentials into
Right.
the CI process.
Right. Yeah. Usually we'll be creating another PR to test to like usually the Airbyte engineers will create another PR to test sandbox accounts. So uh I guess I guess uh we would go in and yeah, create a sales loft account and run those tests when we run the integration test to do one last check before we merge your PR. So um okay, awesome. If there are no other questions, uh, Luisa, is there any last things that you wanted to cover, or anything last things you wanted to go over?
Um, Actually, no, but just wanted to show
Hmm.
that after you have at least this incremental sales log stream class and this sales log stream class, it's actually pretty easy to extend the implementation. So if you want to add like a new stream that's not here, you can basically uh, like query the documentation. So, for example, if we wanted to add actions as a new stream, we can just like create a new class here that will have this I mean that we provide data from this stream, and yeah, that's basically it. We know that the path will be actions, and also that it supports updated that we can get that from the documentation. In this case, they say they support this parameter. So yeah, that's basically it. We create a new class like this, and also don't forget about uh, creating the schema file, and we're ready to get a data for a new stream. That's it's pretty straightforward actually.
Awesome. All right. Well, first off, thank you so much, Luis, for coming and going over how you built out the sales loft connector. Is it okay if I forward any people your way if they have any specific questions about how you built the connector?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it was really awesome to have you to have you here. We'll go ahead and post the slides and the video for this presentation afterward if you wanted to go through anything step by step. And we'll include a direct link to this specific connector on our GitHub repository so that you can actually go through and explore the code directly if you wish to as well. Make sure to tune in next week for another for another version of this connector builder series where we have two engineers from Fnatic go over the connectors that they were building. But thank you so much, Luis. It was really awesome having you on, and we really appreciate you taking the time to go over the connector for us.
Yeah, thanks for the time. I actually enjoyed this, and I'm sorry, guys, about the background noise. It's very noise at this time. I'm
No
sorry.
worries at all, Luis. All right, everyone. I'll see you next week, and thank you so much for coming.